Welcome to Markers and Milestones, where we explore educational opportunities for young men and women beyond traditional college, all from a Christ-centered perspective. I'm Lee Bortons, and I'm with my co-host, Amanda Kleist. Today's June 19th, 2023. We are joined by Glenn Barnard of Southeastern University. Thanks for joining us, Glenn.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
So one of the reasons we wanted to have you on is because a lot of families would not associate trade schools and trade certifications and degrees with a traditional four-year Christian college. And yet I hear you've been hired to make that happen at Southeastern University. Could you tell us what's going on?
Sure. Yes, I've been there for about almost 6 months now. We're starting from scratch. We have 6 different programs that are going to be ready to launch in the spring of 2024. And we have 2 different minors that'll start in the fall. We have construction technology, an AAS and a BS in construction technology. And then we have project management. We also have level 1 technician for electricians, same thing for HVAC, and then plumbing. So yeah, we decided to go on those 3 routes to start with. Since we're just now getting off the ground, we're going to be doing all of our classwork is going to be online, but we've got a LMS that has the classwork, and we've got some visual aids and the goggles you can wear to do things, the virtual reality type of lessons. So excuse me. It's really exciting. It's a lot different for me, for sure. Coming from construction to going into academia, I have absolutely no idea what that's. I'm learning a lot, obviously, but I just started out without knowing anything, and I learned a little bit through osmosis from some folks we know, and it's great. It's the first time in my career, in my life, that I feel like I'm doing something missional, and it feels great.
So what is that missional aspect you're referring to?
The missional aspect is, well, from a personal standpoint, I was a project manager, estimator, salesperson for construction for a long time. And I felt like I was in a constant battle in construction. It's adversarial. And I felt like I was just not ever doing anything for the glory of God to make it, a faith-based thing. I had this opportunity, and it finally feels like I'm doing something for the kingdom, and that's why it's missional to me.
So, so you're asking our children to earn these degrees, and we're going to send them out to the same field that was frustrating to you. How do you see us changing the field? We own a construction company, and I'm very aware of what you're talking about. What is it we can do within the trades to make it less adversarial?
Well, the plan is, and what our hopes are, is that we send somebody out that's got a foundation centered in Christ, and that they will have that as their number 1 priority when they go out. So are they going to be going out into the world, into the lion's den, so to speak? Absolutely. But if they're focused and centered, with the core foundation that we're going to provide, it's going to provide a company with somebody that is trustworthy, has a good sound foundation in Christ, and they're able to move forward with that as their foundation. So people that I'm meeting with in the community, a lot of people are Christians, and a lot of people are real excited about this. And they run their companies from a faith-based organizational standpoint, and they're in it every day. And so I think it has a lot to do with the culture of the companies, has a lot to do with the leaders that you're working with and things like that, how you handle things. So, not sure if I quite answered your question, but that's where we're headed.
Well, Glenn, you made me curious. Maybe pull apart each component of this program. You have some virtual, but now it sounds like there's some actual work experience. Help me see it, as I know nothing about your program. My child might be interested. They're 17 or 18. What would they be walking in the door to?
Yes. Well, we know that a lot of people aren't going to be either interested or have the makeup to go through traditional college courses. This is an opportunity to gain knowledge in a particular trade or trades, as well as achieve their degree. That's how we're different. That's how we're setting ourselves apart from a lot of typical trade schools. They will have core competency courses that they have to take. If somebody comes into us that's been working for an electrician or a air conditioning company for a couple of years, we'll certainly take that in consideration, and they can earn some credits by the practicum that they have, that experience. So that's part of what's really exciting to me is some of the owners that I've met with so far. We talk about terminal degrees and who might be instructors and things like that. Well, there's not a master's degree in air conditioning. So it's somebody with an air conditioning license or somebody with a minimum of 4 years of experience or something that could help be an instructor. And if they've got folks that are heading their construction teams or their installation teams that have got that experience, and they want to better themselves, they can join our program and get credit for the hours, the years that they've spent. And from an apprenticeship standpoint, we are going to be offering that through these subcontractors that have expressed an interest. And at one point, hopefully within a year or two, we'll have that more formalized within SEU.
So you're looking at, sounds like two things to me, just to kind of sum up what Amanda's asking and get more clarity. Either you can come in as an apprentice and do coursework that'll aim you towards certifications in the various trades in the states probably that you're in, as well as a potential apprenticeship with Christian business owners in the trades. That would be one way.
Correct.
And then the other way would be maybe a young man or woman already has some of that skill, but never finished any of the degree or coursework. So you could, in retrospect, give them some practicum credits as well as help them towards their certification and or degrees.
Exactly.
And then what about the trades guy who's a business owner and is kind of done doing the trade himself, but wants to know more about operating that business? Will you have something for them?
Yes, well, we have a lot of different degrees within our business programs. Within the trades program, we'll have project management. So that's a 4-year degree. You learn a lot about managing teams and companies, things like that, from the project management standpoint. And there's a lot they're going to already know from experience.
So Classical Conversations hires a lot of project managers. I don't think they're the same kind of people you're talking about. You mean project management in the trades, not in necessarily making sure, like in our case, curriculum gets written.
Well, in construction technology, that would be the case. The construction technology BS will be similar to a project management program that's in construction. The project management that we have is geared towards a standard, like a PMP type of a situation. So you'll be prepared to go into any field, basically. So, yeah.
Okay. Because that's a really growing field, project management, with having to manage people in various states as well as possibly countries with various technological skill sets, with materials you have to touch, as well as licenses you have to file for. So that might be something that we could talk about one time, Amanda, just in general for our listeners, is project management and how that's growing.
And what is it and where does it apply? Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just to throw something out, BS is not short form for bad talk. It is Bachelor of Science.
Correct.
And PMP, help project management. What does that say? Professional. There we go.
Yeah, from a
So-
certification and licensing, there's an organization called Project Management Professional,
Mhm.
and you can take a exam. The hope is, and the design is that this will prepare you for that certification.
So I know a lot of trade certifications, licensures are statewide. So if I have a child in North Carolina and I send them to Florida for this degree, and they want to move back to North Carolina, how does that help them?
Well, as of right now, everything is online anyway, so that they can take the whole program online. We're asking everybody that comes to the program, if they're going to be out of state, that if they hook up with an electrical contractor that's local, if that's their field, that they go to work right away with the electrical contractor. We'll obviously be in touch with the contractor as well and try to facilitate that too. But there are so many different routes and so many different states and so many different licensing entities that if we had a nationwide agreement with the Labor Department for an apprenticeship program, which may happen in the future, that would be great, but it is state by state.
So do you have a minimum age? Because I'm thinking of a young person we have right now working in our construction company, and he has no interest in going to college. He's already been running businesses since he was 12 years old. Is this something that he could start doing at 16 online, or does he need to be a certain age?
Age is not really the requirement, but the high school diploma is from a entrance into SEU. It'll be the standard. You have to have a high school diploma or a GED or equivalent, and then you go through the application process. Yeah. So, and that's part of what we have to do to maintain accreditation and things like that.
Mhm.
But
So
I know there's plenty of 16-year-olds that are smart enough to go through the program.
it sounds like we're also looking for hardworking people too.
Yeah. Well, I hate to keep going back to this, but the people that I've talked to in the community, and I've known this to be true for many, many years, is that we're just not having the same quality of people in the trades that we've had in the past. There are a lot of people retiring, a lot of people that just don't want to get into it. A lot of people from a project manager and folks that run a project and the trades, it's kind of been a we and they type of separation. The field people and the office people.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I've been telling everybody that I know, because I came from the office side of it, that everybody, what I've said is the folks that are in the field are the ones that are actually getting the work done. Those are the people that we really need to respect. I want to push this forward from my position as we're creating and hoping to create professionals in their trade. These are just not laborers or not workers. They're professionals in their trade. And I want to maintain that level of respect, if you will, for those folks that do those things to build buildings and keep things running.
So what are you saying though distinguishes the professional and the trade versus the laborer and the trade?
Yeah.
What distinguishes?
Yeah. Why is it a laborer, not a professional? Like,
Well,
what does it
there
mean?
are labor professionals, but I'll give you a really good example. When we started out with our marketing of the trades and what we were doing at SEU, part of the language was to create field laborers in the trades. And I said, we need to change that language from field laborers to trade professionals. We want to respect what they're doing. And it could be a laborer. I mean, laborers on a job site can make or break a project. And if you have a really bad crew, it's going to slow everything down. So those guys are professionals too. It's just more of an entry level position that you don't have to have certification. You don't have to have a whole lot of knowledge. but the ones that are really good laborers, they're more like technicians, which we called them in my prior companies that I worked for. The guys that knew how to do everything, those were technicians. They weren't just laborers. So I hope I answered your question. But
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit more, Glenn, about the field that you came from and what exactly you did over your career? So we have some background as to SEU's experience and their leadership here.
sure. Well, I spent 40 years in construction before I came to SEU. 23 years with one company and 17 with another. I wasn't in a traditional standard construction building buildings. It was called theming. We did theme work for zoos, aquariums, museums. We did work for like Disney, Universal, SeaWorld. One of the largest projects that we worked on that I was on personally was Avatar at Animal Kingdom. The floating mountains, all the vines and the foliage and things like that. We worked alongside Disney to create those that artificial rock work, the floating mountains. And in zoos, we create just a naturalistic containment areas, if you will, for the animals. And fabricate and things like that, different things. So that's where I came from. I started out at Epcot with Tishman Construction a long time ago as an assistant project engineer. When I walked the site and took notes on equipment all over the place for a year and a half or so, and then went to the first theming company in California. They were based out of California. So I hold a contractor's license in 11 states at one time, including Florida, for the first company, and traveled a lot, seen a lot of different projects, worked with a lot of different teams and people, and that was actually the best part about it was the getting to know different people and working with them and building that relationship. So, but I've done estimating, project management most of my career.
Well, I did not know about theming construction. That should make total sense because I've been to tons of theme parks and vacation areas. So I'm sitting there thinking, all right, so I know all about, because of our construction company, HVAC and human needs and the anatomy of people and the proportions that we like and that kind of thing. So this strikes me as, with what you're talking about, is people who might be interested in zoology could be helpful to a zoo, the construction site, versus, every kid I know when they're little wants to be a marine biologist or a zookeeper or a veterinarian. They never would think about building the structure that those animals have to live in. So that is
Right.
something you've done, right?
Yeah, it's things that I've been involved with the zoo business, and I would say most of the zoo directors have mucked out stalls, and they've cleaned out the hay, and they've taken care of animals, and they've gone to school after that. But a lot of them have started doing that when they're in high school and just fall in love with it and want to stay with it, and they end up being a veterinarian or something. And so yeah.
Interesting.
Well,
Yeah,
I really appreciate those questions because I was wondering, because I grew up in a family where my dad is a civil engineer and he is a project manager in the glass industry. And when we lived overseas, I've been on construction sites and that type of project management and seen big scale industrial construction management. So theming was new to me too, because I didn't have any experience hearing about that. So that is really fascinating.
So we deal with in that industry, we touch on just about every aspect. We deal with the plumbers, the iron workers. We have to build around and work with HVAC folks that are, running their lines, and electricians and lighting and everything. So even though I'm not a tradesperson by profession, I've dealt with people in every trade you can possibly think of.
So has SEU hired you also because you have those connections to help the students find employment and apprenticeships?
Yeah, it's kind of a holistic thing, I think. I don't want to brag, but I think I'm really good at making relationships, understanding what people are saying, asking the right questions and things like that. And we've had really good reception so far. I don't know what the number is, but I haven't had one person say anything you guys are crazy, or I don't want to work with you, or anything like that. It's always been very positive, and sure, I'll take a couple of your guys. So, we haven't got things kicked off to start yet, but in a couple of years, we'll have folks that are coming through the system and ready to work. And actually, they'll be ready to work day one. They don't have to finish the system. That's the cool part about it. Yeah.
So ready to work day one is a different kind of worker when you don't have the training than day 15 and 45 or 6 months in. Is this a 2-year program that you're talking about?
Yes. For the trades specifically, it's a 2-year program.
2 years. Okay. And so they're getting the trades. They'll get some sort of work experience in one of these relationships that you've developed. How will they be integrated into SEU at all, or some of the main mission of Southeastern University as well? Will they get both or is this going to run more isolated?
Well, based on the fact that you can be a full-time student and still go through the program. You can live on campus and go through this program.
Okay.
It's just right now the classes are online because we don't have a hands-on facility. That's our dream, is to have that within a short matter of time. It's just, we're launching before we have that to get things rolling and whatnot. But those will be the students that will have the full college experience. I earn my degrees online that I have now, partly, and some in face-to-face. So, but it wasn't a traditional. I went back to school later in life, and so I don't have the college experience. Although I'm getting it now, kind of. It's been real quiet this summer. All the students are gone.
Yeah. Well, so what are the logistics in entering? You said in spring. So if a parent's interested in talking to their child about it now, are you having some campus visits, or can they come meet you? Do you do Zoom calls? What more can they do to learn about this?
All the above. And so far we have a link in our website that there's a portal for the students to apply so that they can learn more about it. There's also a partner portal. The student portal are mostly going to the admissions and counselors. The partner portal is what comes to me if they're interested, and then I follow up with them. And that, aside from just reaching out, cold call to let people know what we're doing, and we're getting more and more involved in the community as far as that goes too. So there's been a lot of really good communication so far, but basically that's how they would find out, is go to our website, and you can navigate your way to the SEU Trades. I can send you a link later so you have it if you want.
Is it just SEU.edu/trades?
Yes, something very close to that. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because something else I'm curious about is Possible Conversations, of course, has a large network of people. And I can imagine we have tradesmen within our organization that would love to contact you for the partnership employer side of things. So just same place, go to Trades, and there'll be information to contact you.
I think we
Yes.
might need an updated thing because SEU.edu/trades brings up a broken link at the moment.
Okay.
Could be just a momentary thing, but it isn't
Yeah.
working at the moment.
Maybe Christine, you can look into it while we finish the conversation and get something up. Yeah, so Glenn, if you can put together, or maybe you already have it on the website and we can find it, something so that we can send it out to the through our social media, through Classical Conversations. Amanda and I are very interested in helping our students connect, not just with college, but with these other markers and milestones. And of course, what's so interesting about what you offer is there's a choice for a both and the students can make a selection, as well as a place for our like folks like our business, we have a really hard time finding employees we can trust for not classical conversations for our construction company. And
Right.
so that would be something that we might, want to partner with you too. And it doesn't matter that you don't live in Florida, right? You want to find people everywhere.
Oh, sure. Sure. And we have a network, SEU Networks has agreements with churches all over the country that are bringing us students in the traditional role of business and nursing and things like that. So I'm sure we're going to be getting students from them. So we have, I don't know. We have a tracker that keeps track of the students that we've had interest in right now. And there's probably 35 or 40 people so far. But it's not even that advertised at this point. We're finishing everything for SACS accreditation the next couple of weeks. That's got to go out by the middle of July. We've been working on our pro forma. The cost is not going to be as much as a traditional student. It's probably going to be about half of what the typical cost is per hour, so that we can be somewhat competitive with local trades folks. And part of the story is that as far as we know, there's not a faith-based or based organization anywhere really that I know of or we know of that is actually wanting to do this. And that's part of our desire is to have that out there.
Yeah, they're few and far between, but you're not the only one thinking about this. Amanda and I've stumbled on a few of them. And as we have communication with them, I'll let them know about what you're doing too. It's a real movement from the Lord that I see, because everyone knows that the population, the people are plummeting, the numbers of people, and then our abilities to be able to afford things is getting more difficult. And the one thing we all need beside food and clothes is some shelter. So what you're doing is really important.
Absolutely. Well, I'm really excited about it. We've got a lot of really good people working very hard on getting everything put together academically. And the relational part of that is what I've been working on, and it's working well so far.
It sounds really interesting. And one of the questions we're asking all the people and businesses and organizations that are visiting with us is, how are you connecting these students back to the local church or to the full roundness of living? Because it isn't just the academics, it isn't just getting into the trades, it's the whole life that we're helping our 21+ year olds get involved in. How does this program build into that for them?
Well, right now it's our core curriculum that we have that SEU has for every student.
So this is part of the SEU core that is also in the trade. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, that's part of the coursework.
Interesting.
And then,
Yeah.
of course, because they're online, you can't do much about that, right? They either are with their families or they're not. But I would just suggest to you that you can do some things. And as you get the various conversations with your new students, you could make one of the touch points be, hey, how's your church life going? Because you don't get to see them face to face there.
Yeah, that's true. And we do have the opportunity from an admin standpoint to see how everyone's doing in the coursework and going through it. That's a great suggestion. It seems like it comes naturally, but it doesn't always, especially, you get up to 200 or 300 students that are diverse around the country. It's a little bit harder to keep in touch with everyone. And that's a great idea though.
Yeah.
In this, you're having employers who are Christians who are wanting your students. How are you training them to be good mentors? Because not every great business owner is great at passing the trade, the information, the intellectual property, the rhythm of the business or their customer ethos. How are you helping them, Glenn, with those things, your employers that are coming on board?
That's a great question. I haven't really got to that yet. But that's a good aspect of something to keep in mind that we should really do. That's a great idea. Great suggestion.
Yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with C12, but that's one of the largest Christian business networks in the United States. And there's lots of trades companies a part of that. And they have a very, I don't want to say strict because it's so wholesome, but like a rigorous expectation that the business owners truly be best Christian workplaces. So that would be great if SEU could partner with somebody who'd give a stamp of approval on your employers, I mean.
Yeah, it's an external evaluation
Mhm.
that you are living up to what you say you want to live up to is what it is. Yeah.
Sure. We don't have a bona fide vetting program right now. Although I do have a neighbor that owns an electrical, I probably shouldn't say this, electrical contractor that probably would not be first on my list to call, quite honestly. So are we being selective? Yes, we're being selective. A lot of it is word of mouth. A lot of people have actually come to us. I had lunch with a guy that contacted me last week, and he's got an instructional company. He's an electrician by trade, and he's very interested. And we had a really good conversation. He runs his company as a Christian company. It's small, works out of his home, but that's the type of individual that we've been talking to. So it's moving along great. It's in its infancy right now, and it feels like we've been doing this for a long time, but it's only been a few months. I tell people it feels like we've been living in dog years, but it's only been since February.
So when do you get to meet your first student, Glenn?
Well, it probably will be prior to spring, and I'm not sure exactly, but it'll
Spring
be later this year.
semester, spring season.
Spring semester, January
Okay,
of 2020.
January. Okay.
Yeah. I had to
That's
get used
the
to
thing.
that myself.
Mhm.
Spring is not March, April, it's January.
Well, I was just checking because you're out of project management things. I just had to check what you were saying there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that means this, if we get the word out to some students in the next couple months, they have some time to apply.
Exactly.
How big are you looking for these cohorts to be that you're bringing in the trade? And is it semester based, like you can roll in every semester, or are you going to block? What are you doing that way?
Yeah. Our cohort, we're really starting out kind of small in our pro forma so that we don't over estimate what we think we're going to get from an attendance standpoint.
Okay.
We're hoping that we surprise ourselves to the good.
Mhm.
And so to answer your question, it'll be, you can join at any time, any one of the semesters.
Okay.
It won't be an annual cohort that cohort 26 runs together for 2 years. It'll be more traditional, I guess you could say, from an enrollment standpoint.
Okay.
I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, because our students, they may come off a gap year, they may have done something else first, gone on a mission field, or spend some time helping in their family business, and now they're interested in yours. So I just kind of trying to figure out what kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So Glenn, I would really love for us to figure out where we can point somebody to learn more, because I found the Assemblies of God press release, but when looking at the Southeastern site, it wasn't real easy for me to find as a parent, and I had your name. So I was just wanting to say to you that, boy, if I want to point parents there, SEU might want to make it a little easier, because I don't see it quite yet.
We've been going through a growing pains, I guess you could say, in that regard. So I don't disagree with you.
Oh, I'm just saying, hey, help us help you. So if you
Yeah.
can give us a direct link, that'd be beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we can do for now is point to people to seu.edu and then have them just search for trades. The producer said she did that and couldn't find anything either. So I would just say to our listeners, keep checking. We know Glenn's just been getting this going, and I'm sure that SEU will have a lot of information in the near future.
Right.
Yes.
And it's breaking news, so you could be one of the first to know.
It is.
That's
It's
right.
breaking news. And when SEU started the classical master's program with us in Classical Conversations, they were full like overnight. We were the biggest masters of classical studies across the United States in one evening.
That's
So
awesome.
I expect something similar to happen with the trades that you're offering, because we meet students all the time that want something different. But a lot of them want some growing time. They want to take some courses. They want to be able to figure out that that's really what they want to do while they're putting in the work. Because we've raised these kids to be thinkers, but some of them to say, no, it's time for to go work my body, and others of them are kind of ambivalent, trying to figure it out. So I just think this is a great opportunity, and I was glad to hear about this, and I hope that this video helps you to launch your program with a lot of success.
Yeah, I thank you very much for having me, and it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you.
You, Amanda. Thank you, Christine.
Have a great
Bye.
evening.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.